When I was about 11, I lived in this small town called Ranger. You probably never seen or heard of it, but if you have, chances are it was negative news. See, the town was known for its different ways of doing things. I never really noticed it until I became older. I was just born into it, I suppose. But anyway, I loved Ranger. I had met my first true love, Mary, there. I got to visit my favorite carnival each summer, and I was an honor roll student for the first time in life. I was doing so well in Ranger until my mother passed on. My father was thought to be the murderer, so he was placed on trial. He was found guilty, but I knew he hadn't done it. Seeing him go was one of the hardest times in my life. I was able to live in Mary's home because her parents and my parents were such great friends. While there, things were going great. I had the usual nightmares of what really had happened, but it really never fazed me. I felt sometimes that the situation was better there than it had been with my father if he was ever let out of jail. The only thing that had thrown me off was how one night I had heard a noise in the kitchen, but I went back to sleep. I had a very real nightmare of a carnival. I believe it was. 2 years had passed, and Mary and I were both 13 when her mother told us news. "Mary, guess what's coming to town?" She had no idea. "What, Mother? What's coming back, Mom?" You could tell in her voice she didn't really care at all. Her mother informed her that the Collier Brothers Carnival. Hearing about a carnival had somewhat startled me, but I thought nothing much of the nightmare I had 2 years before. Mary's attitude immediately changed when she had heard those words come together. She was fully positive. She was quickly asking her mother and father if her and I could go. I told her I didn't really care, and her mother said she'd take us. The only person with a problem in the household was her father, who warned her mother about how that one carnival had been appearing in the news, multiple accounts of missing children, bodies being found near the premises, and animals acting very suspicious around the area were not helping sway her father of letting her go. Her mother surprisingly convinced him very easily, and we were on our way there in no time. When we arrived, Mary's mother dropped us off with $80. Mary and I were very surprised by how much she had given us. She told us to have fun and drove back home. The carnival was full of teens and adults. There was loud music playing in the distance and a smell in the air that was of fried food goods, with a faint sewage undertone. The first thing that seemed out of the ordinary was the entrance. There was a sign with movable letters that was obviously supposed to spell out, "Welcome here all." But the letters were moved, and it spelled out something that automatically unsettled Mary. It spelled out, "He'll come here." We both spent the whole night wondering who he was. My theories were making Mary very nervous, and I decided to leave it alone for the rest of the time. We walked around the carnival for about an hour, and we were beginning to get hungry. We saw a corn dog vendor and walked over to enjoy a quick meal. Suddenly, Mary saw something out of the corner of her eye. At first it seemed like a haunted house, but as we walked closer it revealed to be an airsoft gun arena. Mary was psyched to see something like that at a local carnival, and rushed toward the entrance. She looked back at me and smiled. If only. But I walked towards the entrance also. We were greeted by his tall, skinny Cardi with a face full of acne. He told us to hurry and shut up. He gave us the rules, handed us some light vests, and her guns showed us, and dropped a group of us and about 4 other teens inside. When inside, I heard a few switches go off and the lights come on. It started all calm in the arena, with Mary obviously in the lead by 4 kills. I was being beaten, but I was also having the time of my life. Mary was running in front of me with the lights had shut off. The shriek Mary let out was unexplainable. It was somewhere in between complete shock and complete horror. I could hear something small and quick scraping its tiny nails against the floor. Whatever it was scurrying very quickly, and I heard the others screaming and running. There was a foul smell in the air, and Mary was lying on her side. I quickly rushed towards her and tried to comfort her. She had told me that some short-running creature had slashed at her ankles. I then began to become frightened. I heard the scurrying and ran and shot about 6 bullets wildly. I heard a painful screech and could hear the others shouting that I had gotten whatever it was. I heard a small object slump over and a slight hissing sound. The lights returned, and over the intercom a voice said, "Everyone please approach the exit. Please remain calm. The situation has been taken control of, and you are free to leave." Everyone started shuffling out, telling stories of what they saw and heard, while I helped Mary back to her feet. I went back to whatever it was lying on the floor, and I saw a little creature, with horns poking from the top of its head. We had horrifyingly long nails, and were thin yet sharp. His whole body was the sort of gray color, and his mouth was full of canines. Full of them. Full. I poked at him to see if he were still alive, and he coughed up blood and spoke his final words. "You, chosen one, I take her life. 10 years, I take her life," he said while pointing at Mary. She was shocked and we ran out. We were greeted by her mother, who was conveniently right there on time. The same carny yelled at us, "See you next time," with a very menacing smile. We left and never spoke of the place again. Now that was 10 years ago. My wife, Mary Thompson, died a week ago. 10 years. 10 years. And I keep hearing this voice. I keep hearing that he'll say that he'll come here. And as I say this, I am driving to Ranger for no particular reason. I just had to visit the Coraline Brothers Carnival one last time.